Yes.
And currently, I know there are no plans to do a portfolio submission for writers.
Yes.
Is there going to be one in future?
You know, we do accept writer submissions. We always do. But the way that writers have to submit is different from how artists submit. It's, you know, artists can send us their portfolio of any artwork they've done for any any publication, or just fan art. It doesn't have to be published. We take sample artwork. If someone draws their own comic, or draws a story with some of the Marvel characters, or we send a sample script and someone does it, they're free to submit any kind of artwork they want. With writers, we're a little more specific because of legal reasons in the United States about intellectual property, that it has to be published artwork. It has to be a published story.
Okay.
That is trademarked and copyright to you. So when we open it, you're legally protected as the writer that those are your ideas, because a lot of times there's been lawsuits in the United States where everybody can have the same idea. There's millions and millions of people on this planet, and there's been lawsuits where Marvel or DC have published a story, and another person can sue us and say, oh, no, I pitched that story. That's my idea. One of the classic stories is Fables, Bill Willingham. It's a story about fairy tale characters in the real world. And DC published that, and a writer came out and said, I submitted that story to DC years ago. But it's a very simple story. It's been told before outside of Fables, just fairy tale characters in the real world.
Yeah.
There's 2 new TV series coming out that have nothing to do with Fables on the same concept. But years ago, DC got sued, and I think, it was a long, ongoing lawsuit about this idea because they didn't protect themselves. They were taking ideas from many different writers. I don't know all the details, but it's along those lines. We had something recently where we published a story called A Week in the Life of Wolverine, I think.
Okay.
And it was Monday, Wolverine is an Avenger. Tuesday, Wolverine is an X-Men. Wednesday, Wolverine is in Japan. And it was just a snapshot of every day of Wolverine's life. Simple idea. A week in the life of a superhero. It's been done in film. It's been done in novels. It's been done in documentary profiles. A week in the life of name any celebrity. And we published the story, and then I think 1 or 2 other people came and said, oh no, that's our idea. We had that idea for Wolverine, but we were protected because, we hadn't read their ideas because we didn't accept their submissions because they didn't follow the proper guidelines.
So this is the same as why Marvel doesn't accept unsolicited scripts.
Yes, that's exactly the reason, because if we do that, then we're opening ourselves up to a world of potential trouble. And also the fact is that if you can't draw, for the most part, you can't draw. Like, I know I can't draw. I knew I couldn't draw when I was young. I knew I couldn't be an artist. But, so if you're an artist and you're submitting to Marvel, you're pretty confident in your ability to be able to do that. But everybody thinks they could write. Everybody watches the movie, everybody reads the comic and thinks, oh, I have a better idea. So if we open it up to writers, the amount of submissions that we would get would be unmanageable. I mean, it would just be crazy.
How about a mentorship program?
We are, interesting enough, that's funny. You mentioned, so we are starting a mentorship program. We've been working on the details. I mean, there's obviously, again, some hurdles we have to overcome, especially some of the financial aspects, and how are we going to pay the mentor, and how are we going to pay the mentee when they have a story published together. But we've been working with some of our top writers like Bendis and Brubaker and a couple guys. Jason Aaron is especially interested in doing it. He's actually been working with Cullen Bunn on something along these lines now. We're kind of getting our feet wet with it to have some of the bigger writers go out and find writers that they think are up and coming and mentor them in the Marvel system, and hopefully we can bring them in, they write stories together, and then kind of push the chick out of the nest and let them spread their wings on their own. So yeah, there's going to be more public details being made about that, I would say, within the next 6 months. We have a meeting about it in September while the writers are flying in, and it's one of the topics we'll be discussing.
Do you think that this program will be able to take here in Singapore as well?
Hopefully, with this in this day and age, with the world getting smaller because of the internet, social media, more and more we're getting inquiries from writers and from artists, not just in Singapore, but all of Southeast Asia. In Africa as well now, people are contacting us about submitting their stories and their artwork. And once we have the details in place, it's really not going to matter where a person lives or what they've done, as long as they have access to the internet and they're able to send submissions into us when the program is open, we're probably going to be, open to it no matter where they're from. So, and given the fact that Singapore is an English-speaking country, it gives you guys a very big leg up in the race on things, especially where writers are concerned.
Sounds great.
Stevie, tell me, is there any plans that Marvel may perhaps set up a regional office in Southeast Asia?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I've joked that I'd love to be the head of the Marvel Singapore office because I love it here, and I think there's a lot of potential for Marvel, not just from the talent aspect, but from a business angle, to have an office here. But I met on Wednesday. I spent the day out at Disney, and then Disney Southeast Asia is run from here in Singapore, and they have some great people with good heads on their shoulders who are passionate about Marvel and willing to help us. And now that I know that, and we've met face to face, and we have a very comfortable relationship, I think it's going to be easier for us to work with Disney to expand Marvel's fan base and also content here, not just in Singapore, but use Singapore as a base to get to the rest of Southeast Asia. So while I don't know that we'll have a Marvel office here, I might be coming more, or more Marvel people might be coming more to work with Disney, out of Singapore.
So, is there any future plans for something like an exhibition or demonstration lectures besides just STGCC? But would there be a program that will be ongoing? I
don't know. We've had a great relationship with STGCC these last 2 years. It's growing. The Marvel booth is bigger this year. We did the exclusive comic with the Merlion. We worked with the Singapore Tourism Board to get the clearance for that. And it's been wonderful working with both groups, with Reed, SCGCC, and also with the local government here in Singapore to show them that Marvel is passionate about our fans here. We want to reciprocate the love that we felt, give them back something exclusive. This is the first time we've ever done something like this, putting an actual one of our characters with a monument from a country on an exclusive variant. And we're going to go back after this and judge what we can do going forward. Whatever we do, we're going to keep involved with SDGCC, and I don't know what other kind of events would be available to us, but we will explore opportunities. But for now, this is going to be our home, our kind of growing relationship every year. So
what is the future for comics? Do you think online is going to be playing a very major role and replacing print?
I don't think it will replace print ever, and I think that online comics have a huge part of the growing business for all the publishers, not just comic publishers, but print publishers, newspapers. And no one's mastered it just yet. No one knows exactly how to do that. The problem is, one, piracy, obviously, but that's the problem that you hear the most of. The problem with comics that we have is comics is a collector's medium. It's not so much just reading like a newspaper or a magazine. It's a culture. It's a lifestyle. You go to the shop, you pick up your comic, the smell of the paper, it's hearing your friends talk, it's about bitching about the storylines that you don't like, it's about praising the artwork on the covers that you do like, it's about talking with your shop owner, then it's about rereading, bagging and boarding, and collecting. So there's a lot of components that you can't do digitally, or that people haven't discovered how to do digitally. iTunes has done it well for music. They didn't just find a system how to sell music, they sold a system how to distribute music and also how to store music. The iTunes is a fascinating device, and no one's invented an iTunes for comics just yet. And part of that reason is, I think, that it's petty because we're all competing against each other. Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, we all have different apps and different ideas on what the digital strategy should be. To survive, maybe we're all going to have to come together and do something. I don't know. But, Marvel, we have a lot of ideas, and we've been pushing a lot of the boundaries as to what digital is concerned. We've been throwing a lot against the wall, seeing what sticks. Exclusive content. We started with Day and Date. Now DC's making the next big step. They're going Day and Date with their entire line in September. Very bold move. And I think the rest of the industry right now is waiting to see how it's going to go. We have a relationship with a lot of our print retailers that we have to respect. When the market collapsed, when Marvel went bankrupt back in the day, it was the retailers who we trusted in to help build us back up. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship now. We keep them afloat, and they keep selling our stuff. And the last thing we want to do is disrespect the retailers by putting everything 100% digital. So there's a fine line that we have to walk in a lot of these. Any strategy we take with digital, there's so many factors that we have to consider that the fans might not see. But I always just want to reassure fans that we're working on it as the best possible solution.
Just last two questions from me, and that is, One, can you give us some percentages of the growth of your readership right now from the West and Asia?
Yep.
At the same time, do you think Stan Lee may visit Singapore anytime soon?
I'll start with the second question first. I would love to see Stan visit Singapore. I think he'd have a blast here. You know, Stan is just, he's one of the most amazing people I've ever met. He's a hero to me, and, you know, it still freaks me out every time I see him. I shake, oh my God, it's Stan Lee, you know? And I think Stan would have a blast here. I heard he was in Hong Kong recently, which I didn't know. So, you know, if he's traveling to Hong Kong, if the opportunity arises, I think Stan would love to come here to Singapore. And the first part of the question, oh, now I've slipped my mind. What was
the percentage of the readership, has it grown?
Yes, it's growing.
And what is it like?
I don't know the exact numbers. I saw some figures recently about the growth of comics and manga in Asia. And you know, Singapore was one of the bigger expanding areas. I don't have the exact figures, but you know, for Marvel, we've always had trouble penetrating a lot of the Asian market. Singapore's always embraced our comics, and you know, we're making a concerted effort now to try to push more titles here into the market through the stores, work with the retail partners. And you know, going forward, the variant cover that we have here is the first step in trying to grow the Singapore market and show how much respect we have for the culture, and also kind of a thank you to fans. The next thing I want to do, from a Marvel perspective, is hopefully be able to tell a story, an actual comic book set here in Singapore, where some of our heroes come to visit, or we create some kind of story based around the nation here. So we'll see.
Yeah. Sorry, just last question. I forgot that's in my mind, and that is Marvel doing anything to make comics affordable? Because I mean, it's coming from the United States.
Yeah, and that's an extremely difficult question, and I'm not in the best position to answer it. You know, people expect Marvel to hire the best artists and the best writers, and we do. And what goes along with that is they get paid a lot more than everybody else. So, you know, it's a ratio of the times with their salaries, with printing costs, and we're trying to keep the prices as low as we possibly can. And I know our marketing and sales department is working on that. We recently dropped the prices on a couple books on Uncanny X-Men and a few titles to try to drop the price and make it more affordable for readers. And we're going to do what we can to keep prices reasonable, but there's only so much we can push given what sales are and what the market can hold.
Thank you.